Hello and welcome to stage 2 of the Ladies Tour of Norway. We're from Mysen to Askim today, 133.6 kilometres finishing circuit. It is a sunny day for the riders, unlike yesterday. Danny Rowe is with me once again today. Welcome. What a stage yesterday. We had biblical weather conditions and a great win by Mariann Vos.
Yeah, it was an absolutely amazing stage. As you say, the weather was brutal. There was such incredible racing. There was everything from crosswinds, echelons, super aggressive racing from the riders, and an incredible sprint finish.
Briefly, Team Sunweb, they absolutely gassed it out of that left-hand turn. Great anticipation by them. Unfortunately, that crash in towards the finish, it kind of interrupted things. And after all that work, it meant that they didn't get a rider in the top 10, which they would have been really disappointed about.
Yeah, I think they were the real losers from yesterday's stage. They really took it into their own hands to animate the race. They turned left into the crosswind section and it blew the peloton to pieces. They were super aggressive into the final. And then, like you say, that crash really cost them the race. So I hope they have a lot more good luck today.
Well, the race is underway. We've had intermediate sprints, Queen of the Mountains points. We know that you want us to get straight to the action. Let's do it. Let's have a look at what the stage is ahead of us, and then we'll get straight to live pictures. This is stage 2. So, Danny, let's just talk through this stage. So we're 133.6 kilometres from Mysen to Askim. Heading out, we've got the intermediate sprint coming early, and then 2 Queen of the Mountains points. And it took quite a while yesterday for any real breakaways to get established. There's a lot of people fighting for those intermediate sprints and that Queen of the Mountains jersey.
Yeah, it was super aggressive and it did take a while, and it wasn't actually until Sunweb decided to put the hammer down on the crosswind section that we really saw any significant splits in the peloton. And I think it'll actually be a similar scenario today. I think we will have another sprint finish, but I think it will be aggressive coming into that finishing circuit where it's always hard to hold position leading up to, again, another sprint stage, which is my prediction for today.
So through Mysen, where they would have the wind to their left and heading around towards the finishing circuit, and then again the wind blowing across around the finishing circuit as they head towards Askim. And on these short circuit finishes as well, it means again constant changes of wind direction. We've got crosswind, headwind and tailwind on each section of this finishing circuit, so plenty of opportunities for Sunweb or Mitchelton Scott again going into those, coming out of little twists and turns to really put the hammer down, try and split the peloton.
Yeah, and I think it will be really aggressive. Yesterday the echelon split the peloton up, so we didn't see a very big group coming into the finishing circuit, but I think today we're going to see almost a complete peloton going in to what are normally narrow roads, sometimes cobbled, a lot of twists and turns, like you say, a little bit of a climb on the course. So I think positioning is going to be absolutely key to being in a great position to set up for the finish with about 30 kilometres to go. They pass the finish line 3 times before they hit the finish line at 133.6 kilometres.
So you can see we're 45.3 kilometres to go. Just to bring you up to speed with the stage so far, Mitchelton Scott are the team on the front. Yesterday, as we said, we had that victory for Mariann Vos. She means that the Parkertail Valkenburg rider is leading in the general classification, 4 seconds ahead of Chloe Hosking. Amelie Deirdrichsen is at 6 seconds in third. Letizia Paternoster is at 10 seconds. Mariann Vos is also at 10 in that group with Suzanne Anderson, Shayla Gutierrez, Sarah Roy, Marta Bastianelli and Eugenie Duval. That is your top 10 in the general classification. Vos is leading overall in the points ahead of Lisa Klein and Emily Moberg. So Lisa Klein keeping that jersey warm for her today. Soraya Paladin went into the stage in the Queen of the Mountains jersey, but she was level on points. And 6 points with Kennedy and Ratto. Vos and leading Paternoster and Anderson in the Best Young Riders classification. And then Sunweb, Trek and CCC Live were the order in the team classification. This is Emily Moberg going for the intermediate sprint. So going through there, the Team Virtu rider. So that was the intermediate sprint at Mysen. We've just gone through there. So 4 points ahead of Caroline Canuel, Emily Deirdrichsen and Skylar Schneider. Taking 1 point for Bull Dolmans. You can see Bull Dolmans, all 3 riders on the front of the peloton. Emily Moberg, very animated in that competition yesterday. The first intermediate sprint of the day, that came at 114.9 kilometers to go. Emily Moberg taking that one ahead of Ariana Mine with Nicole Steigenger and Heidi Franz. That was the order across the line. We then went on to the Linne Kleppen Queen of the Mountains at 95 kilometers to go. Soraya Paladin taking that one ahead of Lucy Kennedy. Mavi Garcia getting up there for Movistar in third, with Rosella Ratto in fourth, taking 1 point. 88 kilometers to go. We had an attack by Diana Pinuela from Alicia Polini going into the second Queen of the Mountains point at 75k to go. She had 35 seconds. We went over Auger, and she took 4 points ahead of Paladin, with Garcia and Lucy Kennedy getting up there. So the standings after the two Queen of the Mountains today is Soraya Paladin still leading. She now has 13 points in that classification ahead of Lucy Kennedy, who has 10, and Rosella Ratto with 5. And then Emily Moberg going through the intermediate sprint at Mysen. That is the final intermediate sprint of the day, and she has taken that one. So the peloton, you can see after that's a big effort there by Mitchelton Scott. And again, when you're in this position, the forest on either side, we talk about crosswinds and the wind direction, but when you've got these big tall trees through the forest, it helps a little bit, doesn't it? Just
Yeah, it definitely does. But you have to be always near the front, attentive, because when the forest does stop and disappear, it can become so windy so quickly. You can see now the girls are riding through quite an open plain field, so you have to do your research before the stage. It was so interesting to see how Sunweb just put the hammer down yesterday. They'd clearly done their research. They knew exactly where they were going to go. So yeah, it's absolutely paramount to know how these roads are, and when the forest does disappear, and it could become, you know, really dangerous with echelons or the wind.
So Daniel Lashka just asking, no breakaway looks like a neutralised stage. It's not. We've already had the breakaway. We've been into the the intermediate sprints. We've been into the Queen of the Mountains. Those classifications. This is our general classification leader, Lorena Wiebes. But women's for those people watching women's racing for the first time, the women's pro cycling, if you've never watched it, it's very different in strategy wise to men's cycling, isn't it? We get a lot more attacking, a lot more aggressive racing. We do get these points, early breaks, they come back, then we get the next move going away.
Yeah, totally. And I think just because there's no breakaway doesn't mean that it's necessarily, I guess, a neutralised stage, which is what the comment is saying here today on our YouTube channel. That I think you're going to see super aggressive racing coming into the finishing circuit, and in my opinion that's what makes women's racing so exciting, that it's actually not predictable, because if there's just a breakaway, it gets caught back, you know, a couple of K, 500 metres sometimes, which happens in the men's scene, and then the sprinters then just sprint. Actually that is, yeah, again, super predictable and can sometimes be boring. So that's what I absolutely love about the women's peloton. There's no breakaway now. We're coming into the finishing circuit. It's going to be technical. There's going to be a climb in the circuit, a lot of twists and turns. There's some open sections of these roads. It's always up and down. So actually, yeah, I really prefer it. So it's actually super exciting for me if there's not a breakaway.
As a commentator, I mean, I've been doing it a while. And sometimes, as you say, when you come into on air with 100k to go in a men's stage as a breakaway, it's got 5 minutes up the road, and you can predict within 500 meters where it's going to get caught, and you can say, well, here's we'll be back in 3 hours. It's not like that. And you can see peloton all strung out here. Joss Loudon on the front there for drops. Good to see Joss Loudon getting up there. Abby May Parkinson she had a great stage yesterday, got herself into that front group. And I think for me, looking at the way drops are riding, the way that the team is, the way it's developing, looking at riders like Abby May, for me, I think it's time that they get behind Abby May. In these situations now going forward in this race, it's like she's the leader. She's got the time. Put everything behind her. It's all sacrifice now for this rider, because we can see the way Abby May is developing as a rider, the way through the women's tour and the other races that we've watched her, and she's a young rider. I think now for her confidence, I think for drops, I think they now need to just get behind her and just say, right, she's the team leader. we ride for you.
Definitely, yeah, I totally agree. And she had a super race yesterday. She's only 21, as you just mentioned, and she was actually only one of 2 British riders that got into that front split that we saw after Somewhere put the hammer down. So yeah, I think that will give her a lot of confidence. She's going to go into stage 2, and hopefully now she will be the leader, because none of her teammates, I think there was one other Brit with Hannah Barnes, but none of another of the Drops girls got into that move. So I really hope they back her for the rest of this tour, because she's had a fantastic season, really improved, and hopefully she'll build on here. One to watch for the future, for sure.
Ingrid Lorvik now going on the attack here, the Norwegian national champion. That Norwegian national champion's jersey for high-tech products. And it's a great jersey, that, isn't it?
It is. That's what a national champ's jersey should look like.
Riding in your home country. Thanks for all your comments on, thanks for checking in on Facebook and on GCN Racing on YouTube. I do my best to try and keep track of them both. Simon Charles, just say drier today, definitely. I think that was the videos that were going out this morning from the teams and everyone around. Carolina Perakito checking in as well. Cano Ho as well, just checking in, and the Patrick Bashkit just asking as well. Stage 1 of Madrid Challenge by La Vuelta. It's time for one. We haven't seen the profiles for that one yet. You have, yes, La Madrid Challenge. That comes up in September as well. So yeah, thanks for all your comments. Ingrid Lorvik for high-tech products now going on the attack, and again, it's unusual to see a different rider in the Norwegian Champions jersey. The last few years we're so used to Vita Heine being in that jersey.
Yeah, it is actually really, really nice. Like you say, Vita Heine's had it for a few years. She's such a super strong rider, but the Norwegians are such great time trialists, and you can see she's just holding this gap out at around what looks like about 100 metres. So this is a really tough effort from the Norwegian champion, but for me this is a bit like dangling her out to die. She's trying so hard, and you know, she's not really getting too far. So if that was me, I think I'd stop, maybe reset, recover, and try again.
So Lorvik just grinding away off the front here. Park Hotel Valkenburg on the front. Those pink jerseys with the green chevrons working for Lorena Wiebes. And just see Caroline Canuel coming up. Here comes Christine Majerus up towards the front as well. So we're going to see a little move here from Bull Dolmans. Manon Lloyd just on the right of your picture there for drops. There's Soraya Paladin in the Queen of the Mountains polka dot jersey. Job done for her today. And there were some interviews before as well with Soraya, and she's targeting that Queen of the Mountains classification. Everything for she was saying as well, everything for Chloe Hosking in this one, as Emily Moberg comes through again.
Yeah, Chloe Hosking had a fantastic sprint yesterday. She's been open and saying she's been a little bit disappointed with her season so far. She had a couple of wins in the Tour Down Under and in Australia in the Cadel Evans road race earlier this year, but hasn't done much since. So I think yesterday would have given Chloe a lot of confidence that she's back sprinting to her best. And obviously with Soraya Paladin losing out yesterday in that group behind after it split in the wind, I think it will be all for Chloe for the stage victories, and today is one of those days. You can just see Chloe here on the front here making her move in the alley, the lovely fluoro kit. I'm a big fan. In the middle of your screen, so she's obviously feeling good, setting herself up for the entrance of this finishing circuit.
This course though, the circuit, we've got quite a tough climb tomorrow, but you know, when we look back to last year, especially to that sort of Commonwealth Games road race that she won, you got a medal in that one, didn't you?
Yeah.
Did. But that, you know, that was an impressive ride as well, because again we kind of pigeonhole Chloe sometimes, don't we, as just a sprinter, but again, you know, she can get over these sort of medium-sized climbs that we have here in Norway.
Yeah, she definitely can. I think a few years ago she really worked on her climbing ability, being able to get over the climbs, because ultimately as a pure sprinter, if you can get over the rolling terrain, the rolling courses, you've got so many more opportunities to win these races, and this is an absolutely perfect race scenario. This stage race, a few of the stages yesterday and today, they've got some real lumps in them, short, sharp climbs. But if they can get over them, these sprinters, what an amazing opportunity to win a couple of these stages. So I think we'll see Chloe at the forefront of this race at the finish today. And I think we're going to see a lot of action now in the next few kilometres in the lead-in to what looks like a technical circuit.
Yeah, there's some little testing attacks going in. Simon Charles Birdseye just asking, is Danny enjoying her retirement? We miss her.
Oh, that's really nice that you miss me. But that's why I'm now talking to you on your screen, so you can still see me, just maybe not on a bike. But yes, thank you. I'm really enjoying it. I'm trying to keep very fit, still riding my bike, still love it. And that was the beauty of retiring, when I still loved the sport, still very much in my life. And I'm just, loving being a part of so many different things at the moment, taking all my opportunities. But it's really nice for such a positive comment, so thank you very much.
Wilton Zab watching in Saudi Arabia. Thanks to Mia London. Glad you're enjoying our coverage here on GCN Racing. We from the Giro Rosa all the way through. We really again want to build a real platform for women's cycling here on GCN Racing. It's a big part of our plan for this one. Edward San Marti thanks for checking in as well. Thanks for all your nice positive comments. You can see a little bit of pressure now on the front. So we're just seeing the Valcar riders moving up towards the front of this one. If you're just tuning in and just happening upon our broadcast today, this is stage 2 of the Ladies Tour of Norway. 133.6 kilometers from Mysen to Askim. And 3 laps of 8.1 kilometers to come. Yesterday's stage, Lorena Wiebes taking it from Chloe Hosking and Amelie Deirdrickson and Park Hotel Valkenburg. We've seen them very much to the front of this one. A few of you commenting on the weather. It's a sunny day for the riders. It's 19 to 21 degrees Celsius, about 66 to 71 degrees Fahrenheit. And a steadily decreasing wind as we go through the course of the day here in Norway. But tomorrow's stage, talking about the riders that could potentially win this race overall, tomorrow's stage we finish at the Fredrikstad Fortress. It's 1.3 kilometers. It's 7.3% average gradient tomorrow. Do you think that might pose a bit of an issue for a few of the sprinters tomorrow?
Yeah, 100%. I've actually ridden up this fortress and it is brutal, short but super, super steep. And I think tomorrow will be the day where we really see who is going to be in contention for the overall GC. It definitely won't be a pure sprinter stage. I think it will be a perfect day for the likes of Cassia Nyordoma. She's going to be my pick for tomorrow's short, sharp, steep climb. Just over a kilometre in length, but it drags even before you hit that classification. So I think it will be a really, really exciting day tomorrow with finishing circuits. They actually have to go over the climb once before they hit it for the final time, and I think we'll see it split up there. So yeah, make sure you tune in for tomorrow's stage as well for a chance for the climbers of the peloton.
Yeah, definitely. Adam just asking, are Bigler not racing here in Norway? There's Hayley Simmons from BTC City Ljubljana. No, they're not. Bigler, they've missed out on a couple of races actually recently, and just Al Cubes just reminded me it's Cecily Uttrup Ludwig's birthday today, so happy birthday to Cecily. And yeah, Bigler seem to have, they've missed out on a few races. Again, do you think that's tactical for certain races to come?
Yeah, potentially. It was actually a real shame that they're not here. I think the team would ride really, really well here. They've got some super riders, like you say, Cecily, and also Lizzie Banks, who's a British rider who won a stage of the Giro, won her first bike race, which was absolutely amazing to see. She's really stepped up this year. So yeah, it's just a shame. Maybe there's not that strength and depth yet for all the teams to attend every race. They might have other specific target races that just means they can't be here for this race.
And again, we look at the split program. It's got the Colorado Classic and this race here in Norway going on at the same time. And sometimes, again, teams logistically they don't have the whole, you know, rider-wise. Again, if teams go through the year to be able to ride split programs, it's difficult, isn't it? And again, logistically, you might not just have the team personnel at the moment to be able to do that.
Yeah, and the women's teams only usually have around 10 riders, 12 riders in their whole team's roster, unlike the men's who have up to 20. So it's easier for the men to have these split calendars, and at the moment women's cycling just isn't quite there yet. So although Colorado Classic has a fantastic field, you're not seeing a lot of the big teams over there. The only team that you would say would be, you know, a major team within the women's world peloton is the Canyon SRAM team with American sponsors. So that's why you're seeing them doing the split program.
DMP marked, saying Marta Lack for CCC Live is a good. You've just put best, but I've got to say that Marta Lack yesterday, the lead out of Marta Lack yesterday, was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, it was in the end, Lorena Wiebes, I mean, talk about punching a hole through the group to get to the front in the sprint. It was great sprint by her. A lot of commentators and media have said it was chaotic yesterday, but it was a great sprint. But Marta Lack, the lead out coming into that one, phenomenal from her.
It was amazing, and it's her first year on the team. She's obviously learning a lot from Mariann Vos, but unfortunately Marianne was just caught a few wheels back, so she didn't have the wheel of Marta Lack, who did a phenomenal job in really drilling it into that last kind of sweeping bend up to a couple of hundred meters to go. And Marianne got caught out, bit boxed in, and she ended up 5th on the stage. So I think the CCC Live team will be really up for today's victory, and Mariann Vos will be really super motivated to give one back to the team after that incredible lead out, and also ride from the team. They had a lot of girls in that front split yesterday, so I think overall they would have been happy with how they got on.
Question here from Ricardo Correa, watching in Portugal. Thanks for tuning in. Little attack now going off the front. Trek drops. Making their move.
Anna Christian, it looks like the British rider from Team Drops, a super climber, and this is a really good move. You can see the peloton behind are just not, you know, they haven't reacted to this, you know, really quickly. She was in the second group, so she lost quite a lot of time yesterday, so this isn't a major threat for those GC riders in the group.
Having a little dig now off the front, so good to see the Trek Drops team getting involved here. And for Trek Drops, do you know what? It was the team. There was a photo on Instagram this morning, and it was, I think it was Lizzie Holden and Anna Christian, because there was a picture of one of them, and they posted a picture on their social media, and I think Anna said to Lizzie, and Lizzie said, "I thought that was me," and I think they all had a conversation saying, could be about 95% of the team actually.
Yeah.
The picture there was headphones on, head down, and having a good dig off the front. And Anna, as a pro rider, comes from the Isle of Man, and you know, she came through the Wiggle High Five team and raced for teams like that. And again, as a rider, it's just again like Abby May that we were talking about earlier, just steadily making progress each year. They come in, they're still super young, all the Drops riders, and it just seems as they ride a World Tour program and it's racing against the best in the world week in, week out, year after year, all of a sudden, all that accumulative kilometers, all of that, you know, sitting in the peloton, watching and learning, taking mental notes, it eventually just starts to pay dividends.
Yeah, for sure. And I think this is a great race for the Drops team, the younger riders. It's up and down. It's easier to navigate in the bunch, in the peloton, with the longer roads, straighter roads, unlike the classics that you get in Holland and Belgium. And this is a fantastic move from Anna Christian. She's really taken the race on. She's a great time trial rider. She's been up there in the Nationals, in the time trial in the Isle of Man, where she won the under-23 jersey in the time trial. So she's a super strong rider. So it's really impressive to see that they're not just watching the other bigger teams and following, they're actually attacking themselves. So yeah, it's just really good to see.
Lorena Wiebes quite close to the front again. I know the Park Hotel Valkenburg of, you know, you've got to, when you've got the leader's jersey, there is that tradition that you've got to be the team that defends that jersey. But again, a little bit like yesterday, in the end she was almost listening, because she came to the front, had one teammate in front of her, and we just said, just a little bit too early, not enough teammates in front of you, and she just sat back a little bit. And I know that for Park Hotel Valkenburg, they've got that leader's jersey, they'll want to try and defend this one, but again, they just got to be a little bit mindful that in terms of the strength and depth of the team and how many riders that they've got and the days that they've still got to go.
Yeah, for sure. And there was only actually 2 riders in the Park Hotel team in that front split yesterday. And unfortunately, one of my picks for the whole GC race wasn't there. And that was Demi Vollering. Unfortunately, she lost quite a lot of time yesterday. And it was only Femke Marcus, who is new into the Park Hotel team. She's come from speed skating. She's sister of Rihanna Marcus, who rides for the CCC Live team. She was her only teammate coming into the finish. So, like you say, they found themselves on the front quite early, but they just sat back, and I think that just shows how good Dutch riders are. They've been brought up on a bike, and they know tactically exactly what they need to do. Unlike potentially the British, you know, where we come into this race and we are probably one of the strongest nations, but we haven't got that kind of tactical nous, and we don't really know when and how to use our energy correctly. The Dutch do, and they know where they need to be. They can ride in the wind, and that's really evident with the Park Hotel team. So I think now Demi Vollering has lost that time. It's really, really important that Lorena Wiebes and Femke Marcus, who are up there in the split, are always near the front, marshalling the front for any potential moves that might be made now to make sure they maintain that lead that they've got.
Oh, just a little input. Thanks to Marco van der Hout over on our Facebook comments, and we love your insight. Yeah, Martin Vollering crashed apparently yesterday.
Oh,
didn't know that one.
No,
so thank you,
that.
Marco. We didn't see that on our screen. So thank you for the update, Marta Bastianelli. You see the Italian champion. FDJ moving up, your solo leader, Anna Christian from Team Drops, the British team, British rider, 12 seconds off the front. Charity Durano, regular viewer from the Philippines, thanks for checking in and saying hi. As we said, I'll just go back to Ricardo's question that when Anna went, as we always do, we jump into the action, come back to little chatty questions later. Just wondering, it's just asking from Portugal, what's your favourite one-day race? And if you could change anything in racing, what would that be? That's a great question.
Wow, very good question. My favourite one-day race? Ooh, I would have to go with probably one of the Ardennes classics were my personal favourites. That's what suited me the most, so kind of up and down all day. Maybe a Flèche Wallonne or Liège. I absolutely love Liège, Bastogne-Liège. What a great race. So yeah, I'll go with that for my favourite one day. And then the other question
If you could change anything in racing, what would that be?
In racing? Well, I'd change the amount of coverage of women's racing, so I'd get more of that on TV to be able to showcase just how exciting it is. But then I guess in terms of the racing itself, not much actually. I think the women do it really well. I love that the women's races are shorter than the men's, so it is a lot more aggressive and unpredictable. So I hope actually that doesn't change and they don't try and make women's racing longer and longer, because actually I like what we have. I like that it's different, that we don't have to just kind of follow what the men are doing, and we've got our exciting racing outrightly on our own.
Back to the peloton, our lone leader. There's Chloe Hosking right in the centre of your picture, Romy Kasper with her. Then on the left, you've got the champion of Luxembourg, Christine Majerus, with Trek Segafredo all up there, surely working again for Letizia. Trying to do our Italian pronunciation today, Letizia Paternoster. We kind of say Leticia in kind of as we anglify everything, and we do apologise. We all do always, as we said yesterday, try and get things as right as we can. So thanks to all of you for checking in, and don't forget we have the Colorado Classic coming up later on today. So loads of live racing here on GCN Racing this weekend. We have the Colorado Classic. Chloe Dygert taking great stage yesterday, so make sure you tune in a little bit later on for that one. Danny and myself will be back for that. Thanks for, again, we had a great, we put the world to rights last night, didn't we? We had a great Q&A last night. We had around, they had a kind of problem with the pictures the organisers knew they were going to, so we did an Ask Danny last night. So Danny earned her live TV stripes last night. I think we literally threw you under the bus for an hour. It was great. It was we did literally put the world to rights. 4 seconds though, they're pulling back Anna Christian, but she had to go. Gutsy move, and they're not letting her go. And again, you can see running in here the teams again, almost that anticipation, lining up for potential crosswind sections here as well, in terms of that the changes of direction as we run in towards the finishing circuit. And yeah, we had that split yesterday. Team Sunweb, phenomenal job by Team Sunweb to split it yesterday. But again, Anna Christian, it ain't over till it's over. You ride till you pass, don't you?
It's not, and I think Anna Christian would have been hoping that she could have made it into the finishing circuit. I know she's not the most confident in the bunch, so for her that would have been a really nice situation to get into the finishing circuit before the peloton catches, so that if it has split, she finds herself then near the front and able to really use her strength. Yeah, without too many riders around her. But you can really see now that the peloton are getting close to this finishing circuit. It's almost like a lead out into a finish line, and that is a lot of their finishing. You know, a lot of these riders will be domestics, and their job will be to make sure that their leaders are at the front coming into this finishing circuit. You can see CCC Liv on the left hand side of your screen. Jana Korova has done her job, passing it over to her next teammate to make sure Mariann Vos is right up there, and you can see it all stringing out already, and I definitely wouldn't want to be at the back of this.
Definitely not. So thanks to all of you for checking in. 28.3 kilometres to go. We are on the finishing circuit. Bob Ferguson checking in. Lauren Rowney, I'm glad you're enjoying our coverage. And thanks for saying hi. And yes, we great commentary by Danny. We're loving having Danny with us here on
Lauren.
GCN Racing. So thanks to Lauren Rowney for saying hi. CCC Liv in the orange.
You can see Cassia Neodoma there in the middle of your screen being marshalled by Hannah Barnes, and Alice Barnes is not going to miss out today. She got caught out in the wind yesterday, but she's going to make sure she's up there today. The sister of Hannah Barnes on the right of your screen there, and the Boels Dolmans team also lining up for, I think who do you think they'll be riding for actually in this Tour of Norway?
Boels Dolmans. Looking at the team, so they've got Ava Björman, Caroline Canuel, Amelie Didrikson, Christine Majerus, Skylar Schneider and Jip van den Bos. So yeah, looking at it, Jip's the rider that's at 10 seconds, so is Christine Majerus. So it could be between Christine and Jip, I would say. Christine's got the form again as a rider. She made it into that group. Again, for me, Christine kind of a bit like Amy Peters. I think Christine, having watched her over the years, I think she's probably, again, a very, very underrated rider. She doesn't maybe get the publicity of other riders, but she's such a super talent. Watching her in races like Elsie Jacobs and the way that she rides there, you know, this race, especially tomorrow's climb, it's sort of explosive. It kind of could be a Christine day. Yeah,
I totally agree. I think in the peloton she's got so much respect within the peloton, but actually she hasn't had, like you say, the publicity that she really deserves. And I think now the Boels Dolmans team doesn't have those number of super leaders. I think she could actually have a lot of opportunity to get the results for herself. But I feel like with Majerus that she actually loves that domestique role. She's probably the best in the peloton. Absolutely incredible, always near the front. But I'd love for her to get her own victory, and I think this could be a race that really suits her. She was up there last year, so again she was there. She's at 10 seconds, so she's got everything to play for.
Mitchelton Scott, here comes Monique Teniglo on the right of the picture, just up to reinforce at the front of the peloton. We're on the finishing circuit, so we have 3 laps of 8.1 kilometers, so you're going to get a chance to see that finish line, so we'll see how this one will line up for the finish. Thanks to all of you for checking in around the world. Fabio Guimarães from Brazil checking in. Louis Dufresne as well is checking in and saying hi. So thanks for all the comments. Thanks for letting us know where you're watching us all over the world. But Monique Teniglo now hits the front, puts the pressure on. Emily Moberg right behind her.
Emily Moberg is really local to this race. Her dad's actually the organizer of the race, so whenever she's near the front, you know that something's about to happen. I remember when I was racing, the sport director would say, look out for Emily Moberg. She knows these roads inside and out, so she will be in the right position. But it's an amazing job here by the Mitchelton Scott riders. Monique Teneglo's having a really great race. Yesterday I actually mistook her for Lucy Kennedy. They look quite similar, very tall riders, but she's doing a fantastic job for her team.
There's your yellow jersey. There's Lorena Wiebes right alongside her. That red, white and light blue jersey, the champion of Luxembourg. Here, Marta Bastianelli, you can see moving up as well for Team Virtu. And after winning Vogada at the weekend, as understandably so emotional about the fact that Virtu is folding at the end of the year. And I think her director sportif has made such a massive difference, Carmen Small, to her this year, because I think Carmen as a direct sportive, we know her as a rider, such a phenomenal rider, and you can see how she's moved into that role of direct sportive, and you can see Marta, the team that she's got around her, the success that she's had again this season, and truly completely gutted that team's finishing.
Yeah, I think she's really enjoyed being part of this team, and you can see with just how well she's going. You know, it makes such a difference if you're happy and content in a team, in terms of then the effect that it has on how you're riding, how you're training, and your morale going into the racing. So yeah, I think she's actually one of my picks for the World Championships this year. She's obviously in fantastic form. She can sprint, she can get over the climbs, and yeah, Carmen Small's done a fantastic job leading this team for the last few years. I think coming from a racing background herself, she knows women's racing inside and out. She knows how to communicate with women, and it's a real shame for the team that it is folding.
You know, it's great to see you've got Carmen in there now. We've got Ina Yoko Teutenberg at Trek Segafredo, and it's great to see so many of those big names, you know, in the sport now coming back as sport directors. Yeah,
definitely. Maybe I should give it a go.
I think you'd be a great sport director.
So we've just had a comment from John Henderson, which I'm guessing is a relative of Anna Henderson, to say, go Anna Henderson, moving up the peloton, riding as stagiaire in her first World Tour race. Give her a shout, guys. Yeah, amazing rider. She's doing really well. She's come into this sport a bit late. Her background, I believe, is skiing. So she's got no fear. I've ridden with her on a bike. She rode the European Championships in Glasgow when I was riding. A fantastic part of the team. And again, it's great that she's been given this opportunity to stagiaire. And I think the future's definitely going to be bright for her. So good job, doing a great race. She was in that front split yesterday, so one to look out for.
Anna Henderson, definitely. She's one of the most balanced and riders on a bike that I've seen for a long time. Watching her in a criterium and on a descent, she's doing a great transition into the sport, and rides for the brother to Fossey UK team. There's Anna Henderson,
and she's actually only now one of 3 riders who are riding in the Team Tibco team, and the only rider to be on 10 seconds, so she will be the out-and-out leader. She's got Rebecca Durrell, who is a fellow British rider who had a really good UK series season, so I'm hoping Anna will go all the way.
So a little attack now off the front. This is Grace Brown that's just getting away here for Mitchelton Scott.
That's Jeanette Korova from Team CCC Live, a super domestique, so I'd love for her to get an opportunity. I know with CCC Live, they love for all riders to get opportunities to win bike races, so she's really grasped this opportunity, and this looks like a really good move.
Yeah, it's when you've got a super champion like Mariann Vos, and I know we've touched on it before, and you know, if people missed it when you chatted about it before, but Mariann, you would look at the rider that Mariann is and the wins that she's had, and as you said, that team love for everyone to get their opportunities to win, and she does, doesn't she, Mariann? She doesn't expect everyone to race for her all the time, as what you might expect from someone of her sort of stature.
Yeah, no, definitely not. She was always really great to have as leader of the team, because she would say when she was feeling good, and normally if it was going to come down to a sprint, we would go for her because she was the most likely to win at the end of the day. But at the same time, she would always give the riders to take it into their own hands. If you felt good and you wanted to attack or go for it, or if actually you put your hand up and said, I want to sprint today, she'd always give you that opportunity, and that's why I had so much respect to her for doing.
So this little move now off the front. Ruth Winder is the rider on the front for Trek Segafredo as they just go under the trees. So Gian Korova is the other rider that's up there, and as we thought, Grace Brown. So the Virtu rider just getting on to the back of the group. And we've also got, I think it's Silvia Prasico, who's the rider in there for Valcar.
And that's Barbara Garishi from the Team Virtue Cycling, who is a super lead-out sprinter.
And Majerus just gets on here, so Ruth Winder, and you can see this little climb here on the finishing circuit. As Koravar comes through to the front, Winder has a little glance back. Guarishki battling to just get onto the back of the group. Kasia Nuviadoma that's got up here as well. That's a dangerous move for the Canyon SRAM rider.
That is a really good move, so I don't think a lot of teams will like this move from the front, and I think that's probably why you saw Jana Korova not going through and not doing some super work, because she knows that she doesn't want to take Kasia Nuadoma to the line to potentially take away some vital seconds from Mariann Vos for the overall.
I think that's what's it when you look at this little climb and what it's done, and as we said, the wind and the way it comes across the circuit. That's what's great about this race, the Tour of Norway. It's one of the favourite races I ever got to go to as a director sportif, and it's. You go onto a circuit, the finishing circuit like this, and all of a sudden you've just got a little short, sharp climb that just all of a sudden it just blows everything to bits.
Yeah, it does. It really does have everything. Like I was saying before, there was no breakaway earlier, but it definitely didn't neutralise the race, because now you can see all fireworks are going off. Wind, climbs, technical parts of a finishing circuit always makes for such exciting racing.
Floortje Mackay is the Sunweb rider we've got in here. Christine Majerus, the rider that we were talking about a little bit earlier on. Majerus there from the Bull Dolmans team. So there'll be alarm bells ringing in that peloton behind. Ruth Winder swings off. I'm just double checking it is Grace Brown that is there for Mitchelton Scott. Now we see the numbers as well, so good move here. And do you know what, seeing Barbara Gorishki getting up here as well. Barbara led out Marta Bastianelli for the Volgada race last week. Barbara again was a rider that everyone talked about for so many years as a sprinter, and she kind of kept herself back in a way, waiting for those sprint opportunities. It's great to see her getting out here and sort of sticking her nose in the wind and back to the peloton. And you can see Parkertel Valkenburg, and this is what we were talking about a little bit earlier on. You've got to be aware that when the hammer goes down, you've got to have keep those numbers for when you need them the most.
Yeah, you really do. And this is Demi Vollering on the front, and you can see she has crashed yesterday. She's got a bandage on her arm, and she's not going to be able to do this all on her own. Unfortunately for Park Hotel, they have missed this, but a lot of the big teams are represented. But as a yellow jersey team, they have to take it on and try and close this gap. This is a really dangerous move now, but again, she's not going to be able to do it all on her own. And
you can see at the front, CCC Liv, Bull Dolmans, they're just you've got Amelie Deirdrickson there, you've got the CCC team, quite a few of the numbers, and they're like, on you go.
Yeah, I think it'll be really interesting actually what CCC Liv do here, because I don't think they'll be super confident in letting Jana get to the finish and for the overall, and I think she lost time yesterday, so they're going to have to be really careful, especially with Kasia Nuadoma at the front. And a lot of big hitters. You've got Christina Marjarus there in that group as well. Floortje Mackay. These are all riders who are on 10 seconds that could potentially win this tour. So I think there'll be alarm bells ringing behind. There doesn't seem to be here a lot of collaboration. Christine Marjarus now going to the front, but I think it will come back, and you're seeing another Park Hotel rider here coming to the front to help Demi Vollering, who's sat now in second place.
Looks like Roxanne Knaterman that's just come through to the front to help Lorena Wiebes in this chase. You've got to be so vigilant on these finishing circuits. There's your leader. She was the stage winner yesterday, wearing that gold leader's jersey here in the Tour of Norway. So Park Hotel Valkenburg, they're not getting any assistance at the moment for this. There's Mariann Vos just sat, the second rider in the orange. Will Mariann Vos perhaps try and get away, just control this one? Just a little ominous move through to the front there for Mariann Vos.
Yeah, she looked like she wanted to try and light it up, or just try and get a little bit of speed now back into this group, or maybe just to be attentive for when it does get caught, because like we saw yesterday in the finishing circuits, there were a lot of counter-attacks. You can see now they are about to catch this group in front, and I can almost predict already that there will be a move straight away. That's the best place to attack, when a lot of the riders are on their knees and they can be caught by surprise.
And after you've had that sort of lull as well, it's sometimes not the first move that goes. It's it's generally that second or even third move that starts to get away.
Yeah, and you can see that's why this group of riders are riding really hard into the right-hand side of the road, because when they do get caught, then they'll only have one shoulder to have to cover. They're going over now to the left-hand side of the road to make sure they can still, react to anything that does come from behind.
And you can bet that Ruth Winder will not want to let this one come back. You can see that they go, again, just keeping pressure on, just still 10-20 meters just off the front of the peloton, 21.3 kilometers to go. So that little move, Grace Brown, Gian Korova, Ruth Winder, Floortia Mackay, Barbara Goriski, Cassia Nuvia-Doma and Christine Majerus. Those are the riders just off the front. So Mitchelton Scott, the team with Grace Brown, they're at 10 seconds, but they've got Sarah Roy for the sprint, and it looks like the junction there has now been made. The Sunweb colours down the outside, followed by that flash of blue, and now Vos goes. So definitely a dangerous rider has started to make a move, and Mariann Vos recognises the danger and jumps clear and goes with them.
She is such an experienced rider. You could see her there looking through the peloton. She saw that attack go, and she was straight away, straight on it. She didn't want them to get any gap, and that was really impressive there. You saw that turn of speed that she just got straight onto that.
Leah Kirschman was the rider that went. It looked like Audrey Cordon-Ragot that was the rider that was with both riders on 10 seconds. And now the next move goes. Little attacks at Emily Moberg. Again, that style of Moberg makes the move there for Team Virtu.
Looks like Romy Casper from the Ale Cipollini team is straight onto this attack. So I think we're going to see a relentless racing now. Rihanna Marcus from the CCC Lift team just getting tucked into that airy position down this small descent to try and catch these riders.
So a little comment from Peter Slayers, I think it is. Would be nice if you could add the numbers and names on screen. It would, but then that comes from the host broadcaster, and Danny and I, we do our best to try and pretty much recognise nearly everyone as we can. That's something that we work very hard on. It would be nice, but it's with that sort of thing, it rely on the graphics team there instantly, again, recognising the riders and knowing them. So we do our best at rider recognition, don't we?
Yeah, we do. It's a little bit easier today. Now it's dry. Yesterday was quite tough with all the rain and everyone wearing rain jackets. We couldn't even see their numbers. But I think because I've come out of the peloton quite recently, I can still recognise a lot of these riders' style of bike riding. So thankfully, it doesn't normally take me too long.
17.2 to go in towards the finish. Again, this circuit, that little climb. Watch again the next time you go through. Aubrey just letting Peter go. No, yeah, if you want to do this start list and everything for Leicester and Always on Pro Cycling Stats, you can get some great info on the riders if you want to check that out. ProCyclingStats.com. Rachel Block asking, no breakaway. We've had loads of breakaways so far. This is the thing I learned first when I came into Women's Pro Peloton as a sport director. I said it the other day in terms of saying to the riders, make sure you get in the break. And they were like, yeah, Einstein, which one? It's just break after break after break. It's just all day. Breaks after breaks after breaks. So Rachel, we've had lots of breakaways. We had Diana Piduela earlier on. We've had Anna Christian. We've just had that move of Brown, Korova, Winder, Mackay, Gorishki, Nubia-Doma and Majerus. And it just the way it goes comes back. I think we'll have another move on this climb as we go through with 2 laps to go this time. So 2 to go. So thanks for joining us. If you're just tuning in, welcome aboard. This is the Ladies Tour of Norway, stage 233.6 kilometers from Mysen to Askim. We are now on the 8.1 kilometer finishing circuit to do 3 times. Lots of shouting amongst the riders.
Looked like a crash there in the peloton. I could see a few bodies on the road there, unfortunately, and a lot of splits now as well. So this is really heating up. I hope those riders are okay and get back on the bike, but that did sound like quite a nasty crash then.
Yeah, so hopefully everyone is okay on that one. The chasing group just go through the finish line. You can see just under 3 hours of racing so far.
This is going to be a replay of the crash, I believe, on the right-hand side.
So riders down. So the rider, and it's our leader. Wiebes has gone down. So Lorena Wiebes is down. And the rider alongside her is Jip van den Bos. Wiebes straight away just shouting into the radio. Now the overall leader is on the back foot, chasing now to try and get back in, just trying to straighten her brake lever. Disaster here for Lorena Wiebes. And she's got a bit of work to do to come back.
Yeah, that didn't look good at all, and I don't know if it was her brake lever, but something did seem wrong with the left-hand side there of her body. It was really, really limp compared to her right-hand side. I hope that doesn't mean she has injured herself and it is just purely the brake lever that's been knocked in or something like that. But as you can see here, she is on the drops, but the left-hand side of her body does look like it's a bit lower than the right. So she's going to do a good job here if she can get back on. She's had a rider from her team that's come straight back, and that's amazing, you know, teamwork, that a rider's come straight out of the back of the peloton to help the race leader get back in contention of this race.
And that's what you hope. Again, as the convoy just closes up again, and we're just going through this area here towards that little short, sharp climb for Lorena Wiebes. They just wanted to get back in, and the word will go around the peloton as well that Wiebes has gone down, because no one wants to profit for when the race leader hits the deck.
No,
generally.
No, they don't. Although you did see a Sunweb rider then attacking, and unfortunately it is part of bike racing, so I don't think the peloton will necessarily wait for her, but I think they will all want her to come back from a crash, because I personally hate it when it's something like a crash or a puncture that takes, you know, a key contender out of the race. It seems like really, you know, really unfair.
Yeah, no one wants to win like that, but the overall leader, Lorena Wiebes, trying to chase hard to get back into the group. You can see a little bit of pressure at the front. She's got one teammate with her to try and get back into the peloton. So again, we just see I don't think she's got any other teammates in there. That were for Parkertel, Valkenburg, the riders again. In this situation for Parkertel, they can't panic, can they? Just have one rider, then another rider drops back like this in the gap, and then tries to do the next bit. So they've now got all the riders back to try and pace Lorena Wiebes back into the peloton. So you can see they're just off the back of the cars here. The other two Parkertel or Valkenburg riders to try and bring their leader back up to the front and back into contention.
Yeah, it's a really tough situation, especially on such fast roads, trying to get back through the cars. But I think because this peloton has split up a little bit, there might not be so many cars to have to get back through, but they're doing a great job here. It doesn't seem like they're panicking too much. A rider's come back, so I hope as they hit this climb, the peloton might lull a bit, and then they'll be able to find themselves back into this group. What
she's got to be mindful of, and what that chasing group's got to be aware of, is getting onto the back of the peloton. If there's a split at the front as well, it's trying to make sure that you find your way through. You can see the peloton here all spread out on this climb. It's getting through all these riders that she can see now. She's right on the back. Wiebes now attacking this climb. Wiebes trying to defend now the yellow jersey here in the Tour of Norway. Right through the peloton, battling back to try and come back up towards the front. There are some attacks now at the front of the group as the yellow jersey will try and pick a way back through the group, because again, it's quite a long way from the back of that peloton back up to the front, isn't it?
Yeah, that was so impressive. You could see there, she didn't just stop at the back. She was trying to get through all the riders that would just be in distance there on that short climb, and you can see she has made it into what is the majority of this front group. And this is now Mariann Vos. So Mariann is taking it into her own hands to try and attack this race, and it looks like it is Kasia Nieuwedome from the Canyon SRAM's team that is not going to let her get anywhere. Oh no, Amma Lusik it is, sorry, and Ruth Winder just behind.
Yeah, Soraya Paladin up there as well. The Queen of the Mountains leader is up there. The pressure is on. Mitchelton Scott are doing the work, so a dangerous move now, just getting off the front. So Ami Lusik is there. Ruth Winder, again, the rider that went the previous lap. So 4 riders going clear. Mariann Vos from CCC Liv. Elena Emiliusuk from Canyon SRAM. Ruth Winder from Trek Segafredo. Soraya Paladin from LA Cipollini. And it looks like Leah Kirschman just off the back here for Team Sunweb.
That was a great move by the Sunweb rider as well to see how dangerous that move was and to get straight onto it. There's a lot of teams that have missed out on this move, and I'd say this is the most dangerous of the day. If Mariann Vos is in that move, you don't want to have missed it.
There's Lorena Wiebes going down in that crash, just trying to find her way back through. And again, potentially, as she got back into the peloton, the word might have gone through from the cars behind that she's now back into the peloton. In essence, she's not off the back. Hence, Mariann making a move.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't think Mariann would have attacked without knowing that she was back in the group. She's got so much respect for the whole peloton. So yeah, that's what's great about communication as well. You can really help those riders that do come into difficulty with things like punctures or crashes.
Again, it's such a contentious subject, though, isn't it? Because in terms of we see it across all races, don't we? Riders again, they should have waited. They should have waited. They should have waited. But again, it's racing, isn't it? It's a difficult subject sometimes, one that we don't like to talk about at parties.
Yeah, it is a really difficult subject. It's a really tough one. It is bike racing. Unfortunately, one day one team will have bad luck and the other day another team will. So I think over the course of the season, it definitely will kind of cancel itself out.
So you can see Team Virtu are on the front. So we'll just have a little look. There's Lorena Wiebes. So she's back up towards the front of the peloton now. So what a chase.
Yeah, and you can see this peloton really has thinned out. There's definitely groups along the road here. That's definitely not everyone who started this race today in stage 2 of the Ladies Tour of Norway.
So your breakaway group: Mariann Vos, Elena Emiliusik, Ruth Winder, Soraya Paladin and Leah Kirschman. That's who I'm seeing at the moment. So I'm sure we might get a graphic at some point on the screen. But to your race leader, your stage winner from yesterday, Lorena Wiebes, back into the peloton, thanks to the Bad Vegan over on YouTube for your comment. Thanks for all your input. Thanks for saying hi. Marco Vanderhout over on Vandenhout, over on Facebook. Thanks for all your inputs as well. Now Lorena Wiebes got to kind of rely and hope that Mitchelton Scott want to get up there again, because they're really looking at around those teams. Trek Segafredo, they've got Ruth Winder in there, Alicia Polini, they've got Soraya Paladin. This will be 3 kilometres to go the next time we come round. Somewhere they've got Leah in there. They'll be quite happy with that one. And of course for CCC Live with Mariann. So Lorena, she's going to need to rely on maybe Virtu wanting to lead out for Marta Bastianelli, maybe Bull Dolmans wanting to do something as well as Mitchelton Scott.
Yeah, a few of these teams have really missed out, like you say, Mitchelton Scott and the Bowles Dolmans team. So I think, Lorena Wiebes will be crossing her fingers to hope that those teams do get it together to hopefully bring this group back to them come the finish line. You see the gap isn't very big at all. They've got them in their sights now. So I think we are going to see this all coming back together.
Great chase. Look at the peloton all lined out here under the pressure of this chase. The gap's tight in the general classification. So going into today's stage, Lorena Wiebes leading Chloe Hosking by 4 seconds. Amelie Deirdrickson was at 6 and 3rd. Letizia Paternoster at 10 in 4th, with Mariann Vos, Suzanne Anderson, Shayla Gutierrez, Sarah Roy, Marta Bastianelli and Eugenie Duval. That was the top 10 alone in this one. So you can see the gaps are super tight. And it's Mitchelton Scott that are doing the work to control this one with 10.1 kilometres to go.
That's Sarah Roy on the front for the Mitchelton Scott team. She is such an engine. She's done all of this chasing pretty much on her own for the last few kilometres. And what a talent she is. And I don't think she really gets the recognition that she deserves. A super domestique. And that was an absolutely perfect move there from Sarah, who's closed this gap for her teammates.
And the work again, look at this big effort to pull it back. Park Hotel Valkenburg, and the rider just pulling that back. Demi Vollering, I think that's just pulling that one back under control. What a chase, and hats off to Park Hotel Valkenburg there. What a great example of perfect team riding there to get their leader back in.
Yeah, that was really impressive, and that looked like work by super experienced riders, and actually a lot of these riders are really young, up and coming, and the first year in the professional peloton. So totally hats off for them for that, because that would have been easy to really panic in that situation where the yellow jersey did get caught out in a crash and they did have to chase back. So coming into the last 9 kilometers of racing now, these riders are going to have to be so attentive, stay near the front to make sure that they can react to anything in these last few kilometers. They've got one more time up this climb where I think it's going to be, you know, fireworks for those teams that aren't super confident in the sprint, and to try and get any gaps for their GC riders coming into stage 3.
They'll get the bell this time when they hit the finish line. 8.1 kilometers to go. That will be Dan van Overveld over on Facebook. Just asking that Jip van der Bos that we saw go down with Lorena Wiebes, has she got back in? I haven't seen any sign there that Jip's managed to make it back in just yet. But look at this now, the big effort. Lisa Klein coming up there for Canyon Schramm. And looks like, again, I think more than super domestique, isn't it, Monique Teniglo, the way the power that she's got on the front of this one.
What a fantastic job she's done, and Demi Vollering here to take it over the line in first position here. Monique Teniglo, Lisa Klein and Emily Moberg in 4th position there with 8 kilometers to go.
1 lap to go, the bell this time in the Ladies Tour of Norway. That run-in, you can see attack after attack on this finishing circuit. Can Lorena Wiebes for Park Hotel of Valkenburg have a dream race today? Again, if Lorena can get herself, she'll want to defend this jersey. Imagine hitting the deck, getting back up and winning the stage.
Yeah, and you actually see that happening quite a lot, and the reason behind that is that when you crash you get so much adrenaline that your body is so pumped and you're so alert from that crash that actually that could very well happen, and I wouldn't count it out at all.
I think I just wanted to have a mic in her pocket, come across the line and just drop the mic as she crosses the line. So okay, have that one.
That would be cool, wouldn't it?
You see the drops rider there just swinging onto the back of the group there as we go into this part of the circuit again. We're going to hit this little climb. So Lorena Wiebes and her teammates, again, they've got to be super vigilant on this one. Will we see another move by Mariann Vos on the climb? You see the orange jerseys, though, of CCC Live as they just try to get up here. This is Bex Durrell there, number 1, 2, 3, just towards the back. One of the most successful domestic British riders over the last few years. Started her career with Drops, rode for Story Racing as well over the years, and with teammates with Anna Henderson this year on the Brother UK Tifosi team. There's Soraya Paladin, safe in that Queen of the Mountains jersey for another day, extending her lead in that classification with her points scored today. That's her target in this race. It's tight through this little section, isn't there? So many little pinch points.
Yeah, there is, and that's why it's so important to stay near the front. You could see there's a little crash there on the corner. A few riders did come down, and this can really catch a lot of the riders out. So it's so important to be near the front so this doesn't happen. And that was Anna Henderson, the rider that I was talking about earlier, the British rider who is stagiaire for Team Tibco in this race. So I hope she can get back on.
Yeah, you can just see little splits at the front here. Abby May Parkinson moving up on the left for Drops on the right. You've got Alice Barnes, Ruth Winder in that Stars and Stripes jersey of the national champion of the USA. Amelie Deirdrickson, Danish national champion, also very much to the front. The final circuit here, and everyone just battling for positions. Lorena Wiebes is there. Marta Bastianelli is still in there as well. Here come Canyon Schramm. Seen those little moves, the little digs. We're looking around here. Where's Corin Rivera? I'm just looking out for Rivera today.
Yeah, and it's very present to see Alice Barnes in the national champs stripes of the British national champion up there today. She missed out yesterday, but she's very much there in the top 20 riders today to do a good job, or even be the leader actually. It could be one for her today. If it does come down to a sprint, they'll be looking after Cassia Nuadoma for GC, but if it does come down to that sprint, it could be her or Lisa Klein that they're sprinting for.
So a little comment over on Facebook from Mario Bastianelli. Let us know if you're a relation. Just saying, go Marta. So thanks to Mario Bastianelli for your comment. Let us know what relation you are. We know it's great to have so many of you on our chats on Facebook and YouTube with Danny and I spinning plates here, keeping track of all of them. We have such a great racing community that we had on Facebook, and it's great that it's transferred onto the climb. You can see now these the attacks. 5.7 kilometers to go, and it's Mariann Vos that looks back. Now she makes the move, wanting to go solo.
This is a massive move from Mariann Vos, and she's caught so many riders out by surprise, and this is going to be a do or die moment, I think, for Mariann Vos. I think she'll still be in that leaders group, but she might not be able to sprint after making this effort, and she is one that is all or nothing. When she goes, she's going to go and won't look back. She will commit for a good long while before she sees and assesses where she is on the road, and you can see the riders frantically trying to chase her back before it becomes too late.
And this group, you can see it's split on the climb, and Mariann Vos is the rider at the top of your screen. Ruth Winder for Trek Segafredo. The pressure goes off though. They're looking around at each other. They can't afford to do this. Mariann Vos was just very, very slightly off the pace in the sprint yesterday. Came in 5th, but she sits at 10 seconds overall. Remember those bonus seconds on the line as well. That group behind, they really need to try and get themselves working. You see that the peloton are just coming back to them. The boss is off the front now. Mariann Vos looks back. Ruth Winder again back to the front to try and do the work. Canyon Schramm well up there as well. Trek Segafredo are getting in on the action. They've got to try and work this one here for Letizia Paternoster.
The riders seem to be looking at each other behind. No one wants to chase Mariann Vos, and this is an incredible move, and actually unlike Mariann to do this sort of move in the last few kilometers when she knows how strong she is in a sprint finish. So I'm really hoping that she can stay away. I love someone who takes it on, takes the race on and goes for it with, 5k to go. That's still a long way when you've got all these teams chasing behind.
And we always say there's so many different databases that we can use in cycling when we try to assess things. But 400 races I've found that Mariann Vos has won in her career over the years. But Bastianelli and Klein, it looks like, are the two riders that are just going off the front here. If they want to bring Mariann Vos back, they've got to try and get things working. It's got to be a combination of Canyon Schramm and Trek Segafredo. Bastianelli just flicks her elbow here at Lisa Klein. Someone's got to take responsibility here on not just the stage, but the general classifications disappearing up the road.
Yeah, and I think this is a problem with this group behind. It's so big that everyone's looking at each other to take this on. And because it is only stage 2 and there aren't so many gaps, that is why Mariann Vos is almost being led to let go. So someone is going to have to take it on, because this could be GC being decided right now with Mariann Vos time trialing herself to potentially her 401st bike race win.
So Mariann Vos just folds her arms in on the bars. As Danny said, we get so used to the way Mariann Vos makes her move. 192 road victories again. That was on according to Pro Cycling stats that we found. But across road, track, mountain bike, cyclocross, everything, I found 400. But that's all of the disciplines. Mariann Vos, Cassia Nieuwedoma, Lisa Klein are on the front here for Canyon Schramm. They know they've got the work to do. Sunweb need to try and maybe put a rider in here. Lorena Wiebes from Park Hotel of Valkenburg. There's your gap. So you can see just how much the peloton has split here. That group really has thinned down on that climb.
Yeah, it has, and it's so interesting that Cassia Nieuwedoma was on the front. She's had to take it into her own hands, and normally she wouldn't want to be doing that, as I'm sure she is GC leader for the Canyon Schramm team. She was doing the work, she swung off, and she asked Lisa Klein, who's now on the front for Canyon Schramm, to come through and try and help her do the work, because Cassia Nieuwedoma is probably the one that everyone else is looking for as the other threat for the overall.
Mariann Vos, you can see there, just looks back over the shoulder, and Caroline Canuel from Bull Dolmans hits the front. And again, you just see Alice Barnes moving up here for Canyon Schramm. Now they have got to try and put something into this chase. Rianne Marcus moving up here in the orange for CCC Live.
You can see Marta Bastianelli at the bottom of your screen, just sitting within this small group of riders now that are behind the chase for Mariann Vos, who has only got 2.5 kilometres to go to take stage 2 of the Ladies Tour of Norway.
So just when everyone was expecting, maybe starting to anticipate a bunch sprint, Mariann Vos making a move on that climb. She tested it out on the previous lap. Decided that was the point where she wanted to make a move out of that corner, tucks it down again, hands on the brake lever hoods, just keeps the pace super high. 2.1 kilometers to go. The gap is not huge, but it's manageable for Mariann Vos.
I think she's going to take it. I'm going to call it now. I'll lay it on the line and say this one is going to go to Mariann Vos. And what an amazing move that was. And I think that could be the race winner move. She potentially wasn't confident on a bit more of a climber circuit tomorrow, and she wants to put time into her GC leaders, and she's riding all the way to the finish line now, giving it her all, trying to get tucked down into an aerodynamic position to make sure she's given herself the best chance to stay away.
Sunweb, you can see, are moving up, but they've got to try and do something. They've got to try and bring Mariann Vos back, but they left, leaving it here too late. They are going to have to open the throttle on this one. Canyon Schramm, Bull Dolman's up there, Deirdrickson is there as well, CCC Liv just kind of running a little bit of interference here at the moment. Lorena Wiebes in that leader's jersey is right in the centre, just behind the white jersey with the red, white and blue bands. There's your split screen. Mariann Vos on the left here for CCC Liv. 1.7 kilometres to go in towards the finish. What a great move from the leader of this team. And now we get another attack on the outside. Is that Grace Brown going again for Mitchelton Scott?
That was a great move. She caught that group by surprise, came onto the right from the back and made a fantastic effort to try and bridge that gap now to Mariann Vos, and that will mean the Mitchelton Scott team can sit back and tell the other teams that, you know, it's up to them to chase, because they've also got a rider now off the front of this group.
So that shot, the head-on shot here, we're looking for the Flamme Rouge there, the 1 kilometre to go. The rider in orange, your leader, Mariann Vos. The rider in the yellow and black, Grace Brown, has just made a big move off the front. The front camera angle, though, it just foreshortens the gaps very slightly. And they can still see Vos ahead of them at 1 kilometre to go. Vos is through the Flamme Rouge. Brown is the rider just in the gap in between. And here comes the charge from the group behind, led by Lisa Klein. Very tight through that corner as well.
And that's really strung out now coming into the last 800 metres of this bike race. And I think, unfortunately now, I think Mariann might be caught. This is, you know, the speed's really high now into the group behind. It's Canyon Schramm on the front. They're just being taken over now. So I think we are going to see a fantastic bunch sprint to this finish line.
It's now, they line up for the finish, and it's Lisa Klein that's doing the damage in the group behind, with Alice Barnes right on the wheel. The time trialist from Germany, Lisa Klein, trying to drag back Mariann Vos. Vos is clinging on to that lead now. There's Vos just at the top of your picture. Is she going to hang on? Vos now opens the throttle. Here comes Wiebes. Wiebes and Barnes. Vos, the road just kicks up towards the line. 100 metres to go. Mariann Vos is going to take it, but Wiebes and Barnes are closing down. There's Mariann Vos. Has a glance back. Mariann Vos takes the stage just ahead of Alice Barnes. Marta Bastianelli up there as well. What a stage. What a sprint. Big effort there. There's Lisa Klein just crossing the line. Shows the effort that she made for Canyon Schramm. And they have Mariann Vos. And Danny, that just shows just how much that effort took out of her.
Wow, that was absolutely incredible. To attack with around 6 kilometres to go and stay away, and to still stay away. She had a slight look back. I think with about 100 metres to go, you could see the road kicked up a bit, and she still managed to take that victory. That is why she is an absolute legend of this sport.
What a great stage finish. Thanks for all your chat over on Facebook and YouTube. Thanks for all your questions. I know you've enjoyed that. What a finish. Mariann Vos on that final lap, making that move. And I've got to say, Lisa Klein for Canyon Schramm. What an effort. And again, as you called it, with Alice Barnes on the wheel. That again, Lisa Klein, what a phenomenal season she's having, but she put a huge turn in to pull that gap back to that level.
She did, and that was an absolutely perfect lead out there by the Canyon SRAM team, with Alice Barnes being able to profit off being able to see Marianne. She would have been slightly in a slipstream there coming up to the line, and she managed to take second place. I think she'll be super happy, and that's a great result for the British rider. And you can see Mariann Vos trying to catch her breath back now after a huge effort to take that second stage.
And again, I'm sure you've been in this position a few times, and sometimes you just need to lie down and close your eyes after that sort of effort, don't you?
You do. You ride to the limit, and that's what I love about bike racing. You know, she's given it absolutely everything out there today, and it's paid off. I'm so dead. I think you could just hear her there saying to her teammates, I'm sure she is. And look at this finish from Mariann Vos.
Again, great sprint as well from Alice Barnes. I got to say, the British rider there, and Lorena Wiebes, after going down in that crash, just trying to defend her lead overall. Looks like, is that Corin Rivera? Let's have a look at the head-on shot here. Corin Rivera, Paternoster, Bastianelli, all up there as well. Gutierrez just crossing the line. So good shot there as they all cross the line. There's Lorena Wiebes. Oh, look at that shot. You can just see Paternoster in the background. There's Marta Bastianelli in that Italian champions jersey.
It looked like Abby May Parkinson there as well from drops on the left-hand side of your screen. So I'm personally really happy because I coach Abby. Great finish from her as well.
There's Corin Rivera just throwing the bike at the line. Chloe Hosking there is just coming in. That's Aude Bionic, actually, I think, that's got up there. There's your classification. It is. So there's confirmation of your top 10. What a finish. Mariann Vos takes it from Alice Barnes, Marta Bastianelli, Corin Rivera, Letizia Paternoster, Chloe Hosking, Lorena Wiebes, Aude Bionic, Evgenia Bujak, and Ilaria Sanguinetti from Valcar takes 10th place in that one. What a finish. You're right, getting your breath back.
I was just composing myself there after watching the replay. That was an amazing race. Again, we started this race and then we had a few comments saying about it being neutralised, and what a finish. Look at these time gaps, all so close still on the general classification.
So Mariann Vos takes over in the leader's jersey from Lorena Wiebes, Chloe Hosking at 4, Bastianelli, Deirdre Paternoster, Bionic, Bujak, Mackay and Gutierrez. So 4, 6 and 10 seconds. Your top 10, but Lorena Wiebes, big respect to her on the deck. You saw the blood on her arm, on her knee. She really looked like she'd taken, you know, quite a tumble. She fought her way back for Park Hotel Valkenburg, and yeah, getting up there in the sprint as well. She did everything that she could to try and defend that jersey.
Yeah, that was a really impressive display of teamwork there from the Park Hotel team. When Lorena Wiebes did come down in that crash, she was caught quite far behind that first group, and they sent her rider back. They didn't panic. They got back into that group, and she still managed to sprint. So to be joined with Mariann Vos on GC going into stage 3, I'm sure she'll be happy with that. It's
definitely not over by any means, that general classification. The way Mariann Vos went on that climb, the gap that she had, and I think Lorena Wiebes might be buying Lisa Klein a beer tonight after that effort as well.
Yeah, a lot of the teams were, I think, a bit panicky with Mariann Vos going off the front in a stage like today, because it's so hard to get time back from a rider like Mariann. So yeah, I think Wiebes will have a lot to thank Lisa Klein for who set up it perfectly in that sprint finish for her teammate Alice Barnes, who took second place. So a huge victory, I think, for the Canyon SRAM.
And I think for Canyon SRAM, for Alice Barnes, I mean, we know her sort of again as domestically as in the UK, the way she came through the drops team again, that the drop system. She's had some great victories in the course of her career. And again, we were chatting a little bit earlier on about Abby May Parkinson and drops getting behind her, and she had a great finish. And again, I'd like to see Canyon SRAM do that a little bit more. for Alice Barnes, because if you're up there and you're sprinting against Lorena Wiebes, you're sprinting against Marta Bastianelli, that's the best. We've got the best sprinters in the world there. I'd like to just see a little bit more.
Yeah, I think you're right, but I think the problem with that team is potentially they've got some great sprinters throughout the team. They've got Lisa Klein, who can sprint phenomenally in her own right, and Hannah Barnes, who can also sprint. So I think that's a tough situation to be in a team when you do have a lot of similar riders throughout the team. But it was great that they gave Alice Barnes a chance today, and she's got a great result.
I think looking at the comments and looking at, we look at the run in towards the finish, and we talk about it in commentary quite a lot when there was no concerted chase. And sometimes you look at that peloton, and if you're new to cycling, you look, why is that big peloton not able to catch that solo rider? Because a lot of the time when you look at it, it's one against one. You've got one rider in the lead, you've got one rider on the front, and everyone's just sitting back and waiting for someone to make that move. You've been in there many times. What's going on? Is there any conversation between team? Who's going to take up the mantle of the chase? Who's going to take that responsibility?
Yeah, I think the problem with that was the Park Hotel team didn't have the numbers to form a really strong chase. They had the yellow jersey, so usually it is their responsibility to try and catch the breakaway. But I think, again, the problem in that situation that you saw there coming into the finish was that with really small time gaps, only having a sprinter stage yesterday, a lot of the teams were looking at each other because they didn't want to take it into their own hands. A lot of the teams had good sprinters and they didn't want to, I guess, use their energy too early. So I think that was a problem there, and I think it should have just been taken up by a team, and they should have put all of their eggs into that basket and hold their hands up and kind of, I guess, be proud of being able to take it on. But unfortunately they didn't, and it's profited the CCC Live team today with Mariann Vos being able to hold it and take the victory.
Yeah, I was expecting maybe Trek Segafredo or someone like that to throw everything there into the sprint for Paternoster, because we know that she can win a bunch sprint like that as well. So, interesting state, great one. Everyone loves the Mariann Vos victory, though, don't we? I'm sure you all enjoyed that. Right, let's talk a little bit about tomorrow. This climb up to the finish. As I said, last year you were here, you were in there with Marianne's team in Wow Deals. You're on the front of the road book as well, I think we noticed earlier on as well. But let's talk through this climb tomorrow. Looking at the riders, I know you mentioned Cassia Nuvedoma in commentary a little bit earlier on. Do you think the likes of Lorena Wiebes, can get up that climb and potentially keep herself into position? Marianne as well. She's great climber. We've seen her so many times in the climbs this year, the short, sharp, punchy climbs. Do you think it's just that maybe a little bit too long for those sort of riders?
I think Mariann Vos will be okay. It's only just over a kilometre, and I think that will be short enough for her to be able to reach the finish line. However, for a rider like Lorena Wiebes, I'm not so sure. I think it will be suited to Cassia Nuvedoma, who I mentioned earlier. They have to go over the climb once before they hit it then on the final lap. It's within the finishing circuit, it's tight, it's technical, so the lead into the climb is crucial as well. The riders will have to position themselves in the best way to be able to get up that climb efficiently. For those that can't or aren't so confident of getting over the climb, they'll need to give themselves sliding room the first time they get up it to make sure they're in that split coming into the finish, so they can limit their losses. And it will just be, I think, a bit of a time trial situation to the finish line when they hit the last steep section of the climb.
It's been a great race so far. I hope you've enjoyed that. Don't forget to join us a little bit later on for the Colorado Classic. We'll be bringing you that one live today. From Danny Rowe, myself, Mike McDonald. Thanks for your company. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.